Hello and welcome to the live stream today. We'll be getting started here in just a second. I'm waiting for the Zoom call to start. In this video, or I guess this live stream, we'll be talking about UniFi switches. I have a switch here that we will be showing off, but me and Stefan will be talking about a bunch of UniFi switches, all there is to know about Ubiquiti switches. So we'll be getting started here in just a few minutes. Thank you for joining. Feel free to leave comments down below in the chat if you have anything to say. Yeah, we'll get started here soon.
Okay, sounds good.
Sweet. Awesome.
Yeah. So in today's session, we are talking about UniFi switches, correct?
Yes, we are.
Okay, so those who are new here, those who haven't seen the last two session of the live, we have discussed about UniFi, and then we have discussed last week about the UniFi gateways. What UniFi gateways currently in the market, and how long it came back from the previous gen gateways to till now with the enterprise gateway, like the UXG enterprise and the enterprise fortress gateway. So similarly, in that way, the UniFi switches has been improved from long before to till now. They have created an enterprise switches which support finally MLAG and all
Yep.
those switches. So yeah.
Yeah, those enterprise switches are really cool, and they really have come a long way. Even since their first generation switches, I have one in my rack over there, and
Yeah.
it's nice, but like the new ones are so much better. They have a lot more features. They support more. Like you said, MLAG is supported now. You can stack switches, all that kind of
Mm-hmm.
stuff, and even BGP I think is getting support soon, which is really cool to
Yeah, I
see.
think as of now, they have told it will be supported in the future firmware. So if you check the, the store page, let me show the screen. Okay, let me show which screen. Okay, I can share this screen. Can you see the screen?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Okay, let me show it here. So store.ui.com. Okay, so the enterprise switches is here, the campus switch.
Yep.
So these two are designed for the enterprise layer 3 switches. So I think they have mentioned it here, but right now they have removed that. Previously, it was marked as asterisk. They when they release the new firmware version, it will be available. But I don't see it here right now.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So if you take a look into the gateways like the EFG and the here, if you see this, the asterisks
Right.
available in the unit. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it was there on the switches also. So as of now, it is not showing. So
Interesting.
I think I have some. Uh, Let me show you one more thing.
Yeah.
Okay. 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 Let me go back here. And where is my Zoom session? Back to meeting. Stop share. Okay. I'm finding some pages where you can take a look into the UniFi switches list.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that will be great for this session. So we can take a look to the each switches.
Yep.
Yeah, just give me a second.
You're good. So if you're just joining us, we're talking about UniFi switches today, and we just talked about the enterprise switches. Those are meant for kind of larger installations, maybe like a college campus or something like that, where they have a lot of traffic on their network and they have a lot of need for speed, I guess. And those are a lot more expensive switches than most of the switches that Ubiquiti sells, probably double the price, triple the price as normal switches. And in this video, we'll talk about more of the standard switches as well that Ubiquiti has and kind of what they do and how you can use them in your applications. So Safwan's pulling up a list of the switches that we can look at.
Oh, yeah, just give me a second
Yep,
and find. Okay. Guy. Yeah. Okay, I got it.
got it?
Yeah, just let me share the screen again. Just
Okay,
give me a second. Yeah, sorry for the delay.
it's fine.
Okay, just give me a sec. Okay. So, again, you can see the screen here. Can you guys
Yep,
see the screen?
I
Okay,
can.
so yeah, we are taking a look into the switches. Okay, so first we'll take a look into these switches. Starting from we going into the order from enterprise switches to the uh, access switches and the utility switches. So the switch listed here are the enterprise ECS aggregation. You can see here. So you can see this is the enterprise switches from the Ubiquiti, which got six FSP28 support 40 as well as 100 gig support, and one SFP28 which support either 1 gig, 10 gig or 25G ports. It does not have any SFP plus port, and the switching capacity goes up to 3600 Gbps, and it's a power redundancy also, like hot swappable. You can see the AC/DC power modules, and then it comes the high capacity, which you guys, Cole, are you using? Have you used this
I have
high
not.
capacity
Nope.
USB? Okay, we are using this one, the aggregation. This is a layer
Yeah.
2. This is a layer 3. So, and then it comes a standard. This one is like EOL, end of life.
Ah,
It is a, when it's long back they have stopped this manufacturing this, and this was the PoE plus plus, providing PoE plus plus at that time, and even it got 10 GB ports of 5 J45 as well as the SFP plus. So you can see the power method, like it support up to 170 watt.
yep.
So these are the high capacity switches from the Ubiquiti. So you can goes up to like 40 gig, 25 gig. They've already announced these all switches, and then it comes like a rack mounted switches where this is your this is also a pro switches, you can say that. Here they have a list of modules. Like if you go for the campus switches, this campus switch support like high capacity, stacking,
Mm-hmm.
MLAG, all those supports are supported, and all those are they come in the port count of 24 as well as the 48. So you can see the port count it goes up to 24 or 50, and the uplink speed and the PoE capacity, all this supports a power redundancy, is hot swappable. So you can if any of the power failure, you can swap and use the other swappable. And this is the enterprise switches, as you all I mean most of them are already using in the environment. This also provide the features like the layer 3 switches and all those features like the pro AV features.
Yep,
I mean the last week you have put a video on that,
I
like the
did.
pro
Yeah.
switches. And yeah, so these switches are most commonly used in the network, but right now they are targeting the market of the enterprise network. So you can take a look into the enterprise campus, which provides stacking also. You can stack it with the UXG Enterprise or EFG Enterprise, which supports MLAC. And this is the standard switches, which just have a PoE, and it support up to 1 Gbps download and uplink speed, and it gives you a PoE capability of 190 watt. This is the Pro switches, and they also have a new model announced as the Pro HD, and
Yeah.
non PoE as well as the PoE, and they have some utility switches in the flex switches. Right now, you see these are the utility switches. These are 8 port small. This is the enterprise 8 PoE switches and the 8 Pro PoE. Both are the same form factor. It has all the ports on 2.5 GB. It got two SFP plus port, which can give you 10 gig connection. And then these are the flex mini switches, and the flex 2.5 GB also, as well as the flex 1 gig also. And these are the industrial switches designed for the industrial use case. So have you used all these switches, Cole, on your?
I've used most of them except for the industrial and the Pro Max and the enterprise campus aggregation, but all the other ones I've used.
Yeah, and the two campus switches are still not available. So
Yeah.
I hope it will be used in the future.
Yeah.
And then I think I got one slide here, so it will show you the Ubiquiti Enterprise module. Yeah. So this is the enterprise solutions from the Ubiquiti,
Hmm.
as they say, scalability, reliability, and the security. So you can full stack high availability for the gateway switches, APs, as well as the NVR. So you can see these are the two EFG, which is running on the shadow mode, and then two enterprise campus switch 48. They are connected with MC lag, and they are stacked with the unified 24 port campus switches with the enterprise access point, which also got redundancy 2 port for
Yeah.
high availability. So these are the enterprise solutions from the Ubiquiti for full stack network. So it came a long way. I mean, starting from the standard switches, the desk mounted switches, to the enterprise layer 3 switches. So I was hoping that I should show this uh,
Yeah.
slide.
That's a good
It
slide to
will be,
show.
yeah,
I like it.
yeah.
They keep
So
adding more and more switches all the time. There's always new switches,
yeah,
but that slide really breaks it down nicely on what each of them does. There's a lot of models
yep,
of switches, and it gets confusing sometimes, but a slide like that is really helpful. And one thing I
yep,
don't think that was on the slide is they have the light model of switches, so like the light 16
yeah,
PoE, the light 8 PoE,
yeah.
and those
I
are more
mean,
of
they have
access.
just drop it down to the utility, like
Yeah,
under that section, they have put on the Flex Mini, like it's just a single switch. So in that way, so if you
yep.
can show the screen of that page, so we can just discuss on that. Like if you can show the tech
Uh,
specs, or
yeah.
yeah,
Here, let me do that. One second. Once I share the screen. Okay. Can you see the screen?
yeah, I can see the screen.
What screen do you see? Is it black?
Just give me a second. I can see the screen. Yeah.
Okay. And then I will go on here and fix this really quickly. The live stream is black for some reason. There we go. Okay,
Yeah.
so this is the switch page on their website that shows you all of the different
Mm-hmm.
models of switches. And actually, let me add this. One more second.
Yeah.
Okay, so like you said, they do have the access switches, kind of like the Flex Mini and the Flex Mini 2.5 gig. Those are ones that will
Yeah.
disconnect at kind of the lowest level in your network. But then
Mm-hmm.
they have the Flex 10 GBE switch, which is more of the one like you had. It was at the top of the slide. I don't remember what they called it, but I think that one is that still an access switch?
Yeah, you can say access switches because it will be. I was looking into one page where they have shown the exact thing. So let me take a look into that.
Okay. But this switch just has all Ethernet ports, but they are all 10 gigabit ports. So
Yeah.
except for the 1 gig PoE input, but
Yeah,
it's a
so
nice
this
switch.
is the 10 GB LAN switch. I mean, the Ethernet port. It does not have any SFP. So, in case where you want to connect your NAS server on the 10 GB using Ethernet cable, you can use this switch. So, I think they are designed for the desk mounted. You can
Yeah,
place it on top, or you can even these switches get a wall mount also. Like you can place on a wall. Like I have an enterprise 8 PoE. There is a wall mount available for that
yeah.
switch.
And those are nice for, like you said, like a kind of like a desktop application where people
Yeah.
just have some high bandwidth things just kind of at their desk. It doesn't really get shared between the
Mhm.
entire network, but just kind of faster speeds right there at your desk.
Yeah.
Those are really
So
nice.
this also switch. I mean, either you can place it on a desk, or you can hide it behind the your TV or something like the screen. Like using the wall mount plate and just hide it
Yeah,
there and drop the cable from there. So you can hide it.
yeah,
That
that's
is,
nice.
yeah,
And they make a bigger model of this too. I think maybe not. I feel like I've seen one. Oh, I was thinking of the Enterprise 8 switch. Never mind. A little bit different,
yeah.
but similar idea, I would say.
Similar idea, but in this, all 8 ports are 2.5 GB, but
Yeah,
in that, all 4 ports are 10
10 gig.
GB.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is a really nice switch. I've used this one though. I like that one a lot.
Yeah, I have one in my rack. It's
Nice.
very nice. I'm powering the U7 Pro
Oh,
with
nice.
that.
Cool.
So it can give you full 2.5 GB on my network.
Nice. And it's got, I think, yeah, 120 watts of PoE power, so you can power plenty of
Yeah.
devices from it. Really flexible switch right there. They recently came out with the Ultra switches, which the Ultra switches are they're kind of like an upgrade from the Flex model, I would say. They have PoE on them, and
Yeah,
they're a
you
little
can
bit
say
different,
that.
but they're a little
I
bit
mean,
better.
if you check this switch, if you just check just one switch, in that one switch, it determine everything. Like, if you get the one switch, just an ultra, it won't give you much PoE availability. And then if you just check ultra 60 watt, you have to get 60 watt AC adapter.
Yeah,
And then ultra 210 watt, you have to get 200 watt AC adapter on that.
yep,
So that's the difference. Like, with just ultra, it will give you, I mean, not enough PoE on that. You can see
right,
this. You get, if you powered with a PoE plus input port, you will get that much. And if you power with a PoE plus one port, you will get 16 watt PoE.
yep.
So that's the difference.
And I believe these
I
do
mean,
also
you can
support
just
spinning
get
tree.
one ultra, and you can purchase adapter differently. So
True.
if you power with a 210 watt adapter, that ultra switch will be the same. Only the adapter will be the different.
Yeah, and you can probably save some money if you get the adapter separately.
Yeah,
That looks
you
expensive.
can just buy with a no AC adapter,
Yeah.
and yeah, I think the price difference will be there when you get with a 210 AC adapter.
Yep. So this switch does it support spanning tree? I think you can on this one, if I remember correctly. Yeah, you can
Yeah,
do
it's
spanning tree priorities.
yeah.
So that's
I mean,
something.
it is not supported on the Flex side. If you take a
Right.
look into the Flex one, those two features, I mean,
Yep.
it were not supported. I mean, you can't do
Yeah.
customization on the port profile and all those.
Right.
Yeah, you see that.
So that is nice that you can do that on the Ultra model. That feature's available
Yep.
there.
I mean, can you check the Flex Mini 2.5 GB?
Yeah.
Any difference from the Flex Mini or not? Only the port difference,
Nope. You
or they
can do
added? Yeah,
priorities
they
now.
added SCP. Yeah,
Yep.
so they added this on. So if you're getting right now at this phase, you should go with the Flex Mini 2.5
Yeah.
GB instead
Yep.
of the Flex Mini 1 gig.
I agree. Yeah, those port priorities and profiles are nice, and then you can also do the spanning tree priorities, which is really nice to have as well on your network. And I like how the
Yes.
USB-C is on the front of this one versus the Flex Mini that just had it on the back. It's kind of nice to
Yes,
see that in the
correct.
front. They also came out recently with the Flex 2.5 gig models that have PoE on them as well. They have about 8 ports.
Yeah. I mean, last I've seen the video on the YouTube, like the Cody is also doing a video on this, and some channel like Inside Wire Monty, he did a video on this, like his go-to switch right now, this Flex 2.5G, because it got SFP plus port on that,
Mm-hmm.
so that is very handy. You can just connect it with the uh, RJ45 modules, or you can just use the direct attach cable, DAC cable. You can connect with the uplink switches.
Yeah, that's really nice. In my use case, I have a different switch in my office. I have a Pro Max switch in my office, but I could have totally got the Flex Mini 2.5 gig because I like the 10 gigabit uplink to my core network, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to have to get an entire rack mounted switch to be able to do that. So this is kind of a nice middle ground where you still get that 10 gig uplink, but you have the 2.5 gig ports available for your desk or whatever the application is that you want to use
Yeah.
the switch.
Yeah, it's simply, I mean, as of right now, you can just get this one because you will get a 10 GB uplink and the downlink all are supported 2.5 GB.
Yep.
So it will be fulfill on that. I mean, you can use the thing on this switches, I think it does not support any PoE. To get the PoE thing, you have to get the, I mean, does it support PoE plus or something like?
They have a PoE model. This one is
Yeah.
not the PoE model, I don't think.
Okay. Yeah. The PoE model is 2.5 GB
Yep.
PoE. Yeah.
Yep. So
Uh,
you could do PoE plus 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 input apparently,
Yeah.
which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So
I
that
mean,
is,
that's a new standard 802 uh like zero point 0.3 BT something.
yep. I mean, it's only $40 more expensive to get the PoE model, which is kind of crazy.
Yes.
So I would just upgrade to
Yeah.
the PoE
Just
model.
yeah.
So
Also, yeah.
we have the Flex utility, which is kind of goes with the Flex switch. And the Flex switch is
Mm-hmm.
really nice. So I've used this a couple times. We have some cameras out on a light post in a parking lot, and the Flex utility and the Flex switch is really nice because you can just run one PoE connection out to that light post or whatever, and have four cameras coming off of that. So it's a really nice switch that you can kind of just have far away, but you can still pass the PoE power through, and you can power a bunch of
Mm-hmm.
devices from it pretty remotely. I mean, I guess there's power at the light post, but we didn't have to get power there because it could be PoE powered coming in from the switch.
Mm-hmm.
So that switch is
Yeah, that's
really
correct.
useful.
I mean, the name says the Flex. You can use it the Flex utility box. So it is mostly used outdoor, I think, for indoors as well as outdoor. Mostly everyone
Yeah.
use to power the cameras, which is you can power with the PoE one, PoE plus. So
Yep.
you can utilize this.
And we did just get a comment from Rob M that said the Flex Mini 2.5 gig PoE model does not come with a power supply. So that's the difference between the Flex 2.5 and the Flex 2.5 PoE. I
Yeah,
believe the
yeah,
2.5 comes
yeah.
with
I
one
think it says like 10 GB PoE plus input. If you check above, it says
power supply, external AC/DC adapter, UniFi PoE
yeah.
switch. Yeah.
You can get this one and get the power adapter differently. I mean, you can purchase the power adapter
Yeah.
separately.
Oh, and it's a different power connection too. The Flex 2.5 gig has USB-C, and then the PoE model has the barrel connector, the circle connector.
Ah,
So it's a little bit different there, but only $40 price difference.
yes. You can power it with the 210 watt also, the AC adapter. It
Oh,
does not.
okay.
I mean, the non-PoE does not have AC outlet of that. It has Type C, USB
Yep.
Type C.
We got a
So
comment.
it says that like you can use 10 GB PoE plus input port for power or SFP plus port combo.
Yes. So you could do, yeah, that's cool. Or you could use the SAP plus port. So if the switch is farther away, you could use fiber to the switch or something, and then um, you could still technically power it through PoE. I think
Yeah,
that's what that
you
means.
can.
So we got a comment from Trex Media that said he hates the industrial switch, which I don't
Have you?
even. Do they have it on the website
I
anymore?
mean, right now it is not even in production as of now.
Yeah.
You see, it has been removed from the list. I mean, right now they are
Yep.
no longer. If you try to search it on the search section, like industrial switches,
Yep. It still comes up. Yeah, this switch is a lot older, but it's cool because it's meant for those applications where there's a lot of heat or something, or it's in a building
yeah,
with
it got
yeah,
a cooling system, like the heat sinks given like at the top of the switch.
yep. The whole design is kind of a heat sink. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Rob M also said there's a $40 difference, but you have to spend $79 in the power supply, which that is true.
Yeah. I mean,
So
recently one of the customer got the Pro one HD, and yeah, it is very good switches I've seen so far. The Pro HD PoE one, the 24 port. Uh, it all supported the ether lighting features
yeah,
as well as all. You can go up to PoE plus plus plus. Like even you can power all the devices which supports like PoE plus plus, like the E7 campus with access point and E7,
yep.
the enterprise.
We should do our next live stream on access points.
Yeah, we should, and we should take a look into the camera section also.
Yep. Um,
Okay.
so these are the standard switches. So these are kind of just the entry level rack mounted switches, I would say. So they're kind of the cheapest rack mounted switches that you can get. And these ones don't have a lot of the features that the layer 3 switches do, the pro switches do. Layer 3 is one of them.
Yeah,
And they have
yeah.
less PoE power on them as well.
I mean, the standard 24 PoE goes up to only 95 watt. I'm
Ye-
still using in my
yeah,
network. Standard 24 PoE goes up
yep,
to 95 watt, and the 16 it just goes to 42 watt. So it does not provide much
yep.
power.
I do
So
have
if
one in my
you're,
rack, but I only have it because it was
Mhm.
cheap.
Yeah, I would like to get one, the ether lighting one, the
Yes,
16 port switches.
yep,
I think comes under the max.
yes. It is. You're probably looking for this one right here, the Pro Max 16 or the Pro Max 16 with PoE, which I don't know where that one is.
I
What
mean,
is
the Pro Max 16 non-PoE is also 279. If you check for the Pro Max 16 PoE, there will be much price difference on that.
Oh, I see. There we go. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
399 for the PoE model versus 279 just on the 16 model without PoE. This is the one that I have in my office, the Pro Max 16.
yeah.
It's a nice
So
switch.
$120 difference in that.
Yep. It does come. It doesn't come with it, but you can buy a nice rack mount for it. You can rack mount it in your rack, and that's what I also did. And I don't know where that rack mount is.
I mean, it will be given under the accessories if you take a look at. Yeah, in the
There we
add-ons.
go.
Yeah,
If it loads, there we go. Yep, for about $50, you can get the rack mount. You can put the power supply in there, kind of off to the side, and then it nicely rack mounts that switch. Which I really like this over the standard 16 sport non PoE switch, or maybe it is PoE.
mm-hmm.
But this one right here, because I like how the ports on this one are laid across
Yeah.
like horizontally.
I mean, like on a single across, like for the aesthetic, like if you're using patch panel
Right.
on the same line, if you get those port, this comes very handy. Like you don't, the patch cable order are same, like the same
Yep.
length cable you can use.
Yeah, it makes it a lot easier and it looks a lot better too when you use patch panels like you said, which is why I like that switch a lot.
Yeah.
So next we have the professional max switches, which these are the
Yes.
newer model that they're kind of releasing, and these have a lot more features like the Pro AV, like you mentioned earlier. They have ether lighting on them, and a lot of them
Yeah.
have 2.5 gig ports on them as well for Ethernet. And these do have
And
more
then,
PoE.
yeah, more PoE plus plus. I like it support the enterprise access point. Like if you see the enterprise campus, enterprise E7,
Hmm.
those access point are supported PoE plus plus, so you can use that. So also these also switch support Pro AV supports like
Yep.
the SD one.
Um, is that under this? No, it's. Oh yeah, they are. Yes, like you said,
Yeah.
the HD switches do as well. Yep. Those are a lot more expensive. I think these are actually more expensive than the. Yeah,
Yeah,
they
the
are.
thing is that as you see the price comparison on that, like the SD switches, you will see it got extra ports like PoE plus plus plus,
Hmm.
and all ports are 2.5 GB PoE plus plus, and even it gives you 410G ports, SFP plus ports, and the power availability maximum is higher on this as
Yeah.
compared to the Pro Max switches.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you can see 400
So
versus 600 watts right there for just 200 more dollars. And then you get all the
yes,
extra features with the 410 gig ports versus the two.
yes. That's the price difference because I mean these all switches are very beefy, like the Pro
Yeah,
Max
they
and
are.
48 ports are very beefy. I mean very power consuming. Like you can uh, use tons of PoE devices and you can power it.
You can. Yeah, they are really beefy. And compared to the professional switches, they also support more packets per second, or whatever that metric is. The forwarding rate is a lot higher on these. And that's actually come in
Mm-hmm.
handy for me because when I did the Pro AV stuff at that site with the Dante and the QSys, it was actually the support was a lot better on this switch versus the professional switches because it did support more packet forwarding per second,
Yeah,
which was surprising to me. But it actually worked out a lot better having this switch installed instead. So
yeah,
next we have the enterprise switches, and there's a couple different options of these. We have the enterprise 48 PoE, 24 PoE, XG24, and the mission critical. The mission critical is really cool. I've never used it. Have you used it?
no, I have not used it, but I have seen on some of the networks. Like it comes very handy when you want on a critical network. You don't want a downtime on that. It should provide you I mean, interrupt the network, so it will provide uninterrupted.
Yeah,
Uh,
and that's really useful if you're using the UniFi Access program or system, I guess, because you don't want your
yes,
doors to
I
go
think it's
offline.
very useful on that, like because it's a critical condition. If the power goes down and switch goes down,
Yep.
if you're using a fail safe lock, I mean fail safe or fail secure, so the door will
Yeah.
be locked. So you have to use a key fob for emergency locking, because if you use the ubiquity uh, electric lock, which is I think fail secure, if your power goes
Hmm.
down, it will lock the door.
It'll stay locked. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right though. If you do use the like magnetic locks, then those technically unlock when the
Yeah.
power goes out.
Yeah. So a maglock is fail safe. So if your power is I mean down, it it will unlock the door. You can
Yep.
just
Yeah, so those are really important that you don't want the power to go out when those are installed because if the power goes out, then obviously the door becomes unlocked. So that's why you might want
yes.
a switch like the Mission Critical because it'll keep it running for a while. It's got a built-in 368 watt hour battery, so it'll keep everything
Mm-hmm.
running for hopefully a long time. I don't know how long it will
Yeah.
last, actually. I've never heard about that, but I'm sure it's a while.
Yeah, it gives you, I mean, it's mentioned there at the top, like it gives you up to like for 8 devices
8
and
devices.
internal back. Yeah. So depending on the wattage, how many wattage does your access, the door access and the door, like the G3 door start, all those, how many power is drawn on that. So depending on that,
Yep.
it will count the how many hours it gives you uninterrupted power.
That is right. Yeah. I mean, I think these locks only take like 10 watts, if I remember correctly. They don't take too much power, so you can kind of get a while of runtime on these things. Um, does not say.
I mean, it depends on the access door access. If you're using Access Ultra for a single
True.
door or
Yep.
Access Hub, just take a look into that one. Like for the yeah, this is the single door access
Yeah, so that'll take 1 amp, actually 18 watts right there. So
18 watt.
378 divided by 18, you could, oh, you could theoretically get 21 hours
Yeah,
of battery.
if you're just using that sing for a single door, so you
Right.
can yeah add on after that if you're using multiple doors. So in that case, you will get a hub. So if you take a look into the hub, access hub,
The Access Hub, where is it? Right there. Yes.
yes.
Enterprise Access Hub.
Yeah, it gives more features. It even give you battery backup also.
Yeah, you do have an option for a 32 to 48-volt battery backup
Yeah,
input, which could be separate from your mission critical switch as well.
yes,
So
exactly.
that's nice to see because you could have the battery kind of at that door location. And every door, or I guess every 8 doors or whatever, yeah, 8 doors. Every 8 doors could have their own battery. They could last
Mm-hmm.
probably longer than they could with the mission critical switch.
Yes. So you see the mission critical switch is also mentioned under that.
Yep,
You can utilize with the lower access.
can still use that. Yep. So going back here to the enterprise switches, we have the enterprise campus switches like we talked about earlier, but we also
Yeah.
have these enterprise 24 and 48 port switches. And these are kind of interesting to me. They don't like in my mind, I would just go to using the Pro Max switches, but the enterprise
Yeah.
switches, they have 2.5 gig ports, and then the other half are gigabit E
At the
ports.
1 gig. Yeah.
Yeah.
All PoE plus. Yeah.
So I struggle to find a use case for these switches sometimes because I don't, it doesn't
I
make much
mean,
sense to me, but
yeah. I'm not sure why Ubiquiti released this one and then it released the Max Pro Max. The only difference you will see, it does not have ether lighting features.
oh, right. Yeah, it does not have ether lighting, but it does have that new port layout where they have them all spread out. So it's got that new design, but not the new design that has ether lighting, I guess.
Yeah.
And they also have the
Uh,
Go ahead.
yeah. So also on that switch, the lots of features are supported, but as compared to the Pro Max switches, you will get more PoE and all the things are supported like the Pro AV
Mm-hmm.
and all those features are supported because it was released previously and the Pro Max released last year. So
Yep. And they also have the Enterprise XG24 switch, which is a nice switch actually because it has 24 10 gigabit E ports. So if you want a bunch of Ethernet
hmm
ports that are all 10 gig, this is a great switch for
hmm
that. And it has 25 gig SFP28 uplink ports. So you could go up
yeah,
to a high, whatever that was called, the pro aggregation switch, basically,
yeah, it's under
the high
the
capacity.
aggregation one.
Yep.
Yeah,
So you could connect that switch up to the high capacity aggregation and get fast links between these
yeah,
switches. And it's $1,200, $1,300
yeah.
basically.
It's very costly, I think.
It is.
Yes.
But that's what
And
it. Go
yeah.
ahead.
So all these switches, you see on the specification of all these switches, it comes with a DC power backup ready.
Yep.
So if everyone was looking into that specification, you will be taking a look into the why we need a DC power backup. So you should know Ubiquiti provide a redundant power supply for all those switches. You
Yep.
can use with a smart power cable.
Yep. So you can get the $30 smart power cable to connect to
Yeah.
a UniFi power backup. And I don't know how many devices. It has 6 ports actually, so you can connect up to 6 devices to the power backup. And
Yeah.
this could be connected to a UPS or something. That way they all fail
Yes.
over to that.
Yeah. I mean, these power backup is useful, like redundant. If any of the switch power got failure, like the power. backup got failure, so it will give you redundant power supply to that particular switch which is connected with a smart power cable. So all the switch have internal power supply. If
Yep.
any switch power supply got failed, so it will give the redundant power supply to that switch. It does. So it was kind of confusing for the customer. They get these UPS, I mean the USP RPS, by thinking that it will provide a UPS features like the uninterrupted power supply, but it does not provide the uninterrupted power supply. If any of the switch fail, like
Right.
the power is down, so it won't give you power backup. It just give you the power supply when the switch power supply got failed internally.
Yeah. So kind of like on the enterprise switches, how you have multiple power supplies. This essentially mimics that, just on a different level. And it's just DC power that goes to these switches. It's not two AC power
Yeah.
connections. So it's a little bit different in that sense, but it makes it a lot easier for these switches that already have the power backup system. You can have just one unified power backup and have all the cables that go to all of your different devices.
Yeah.
And it does prevent from power supply failures, like you said.
Yes. If you use with your external UPS, then it will give a backup to all of the
Yep.
devices. And I think kind of the critical mission critical switches also in that way.
Yeah. Yep. So that power backup, if anyone's interested, is $399, and it has 950 watts of power availability. So theoretically, you could just have probably one of the Pro Max switches on there. You could have one Pro Max 48 switch on there, and maybe a Pro Max 16 on there too if it supports power backup. But um, those Pro Max switches use up a lot of power, so you really can't do too many of those off of the power backup.
Yeah.
So next we have the aggregation switches. So we have the UniFi aggregation, the Pro aggregation, and then the campus aggregation. I have the aggregation switch, and I've used it at a bunch of sites. I really like it. It's a great switch.
Hmm.
I wish it had layer 3 support, but layer 3 support's only on the Pro aggregation switch and then the enterprise campus aggregation.
I mean, you can see the price
Right,
differences from the layer 2 and the layer 3.
right. Yeah, it's from layer 2 at $269 to $899 on the layer 3.
Yeah.
It's a lot more expensive for layer 3 support, but you also do get 32 ports of 10 gig SFP plus, and then you get 25 gig
And
SFP 28.
25G SFP28.
Yeah. So this switch is really beefy. This was kind of the highest end switch that Ubiquiti had before they had the campus aggregations.
Yeah.
This switch kind of
I
made the
mean,
most
if you
sense.
check the forwarding rate and the switching capacity is also quite high on these switches.
Yeah. So it's 565 mega packets per second, or whatever that was,
Yeah.
million packets per second. Um,
Yes.
so it does support, yeah, a lot more packets per second. I believe the Pro Max switches only have about 95 million packets per second, so
Yeah.
565 is a lot higher than that for sure.
Yes. If you check for the layer 2 aggregation also,
Yeah, so the
it also support
that
1 in 19. Yeah, more
yep,
than the Pro Max one.
that is true. Yep. So this switch is still really good to have kind of at the core of your network, even though it only is layer 2.
Also, if you see this switch is very small, like kind of,
It is. Yeah.
depending on the other switches, like it is 19-inch deep, but it is not that much.
Yeah, it's very thin, I guess you could say. It doesn't go
Yeah.
back very far in your rack, which is interesting. Like when I first got it, I was like, why is it so tiny? But it is really tiny. And then we have the enterprise. Go ahead.
Yeah. So also this switch, like I would say, like though even you are also using on your network.
Yeah.
I'm using all these switches with the DAC cable instead of going with the RJ45 module, SFP plus to RJ45 modules, because that modules get quite hot
They do.
mostly. So that will affect your switch performance. So I am using with the DAC cable. So I recommend everyone to
Yeah.
use with the DAC cable depending on the needs.
Yeah, I use the DAT cables too, and a lot of times they're actually cheaper and more reliable from my experience. Like you said, they don't get hot or nearly as hot as the RJ45 adapters do. And for longer distances, you can do fiber or use a DAT cable, and they work a lot better. And they're really cheap. They're only like $30 on Amazon,
Hmm.
so they're really not bad. And it is fanless, like it said. So if you need a quiet switch for some reason, then you can get that aggregation switch. Very quiet. I've never heard the fan, obviously because it's fanless.
Yeah, it's a fanless layer 2
Yep.
switches.
And then finally, we have the Enterprise Campus Aggregation Switch. It's $4,000. It has 1.8
Mm-hmm.
terabits per second um, of throughput that you can do on it. It has BGP. It has hot swappable power modules, and you can also do the layer 3 failover or
Yeah.
VRRP with the multi-chassis
Yeah, I was
aggregation.
looking into that thing, like the asterisk marks, like the BGP
Yeah,
dynamic routing. If you see that it is not, it is under the OSPF support is scheduled for an upcoming network release.
yeah,
So I think the BGP will also be released soon after some firmware version.
yeah. And they really just released OSPF routing probably within the past year on UniFi Network entirely because they just added it to the gateways. So
Yeah.
um, it is still a new feature that they're working on, it seems like.
Yeah,
You can also buy the power modules separately, so
yeah.
that's
And
kind of
even
cool.
the fan module also.
And fans, yeah. Yep, for
Yeah.
$70 you can buy a fan.
Even you can use any third party fan modules also, like the Noctua
Oh,
fan
really?
cables. Like, yeah, you can use that. I
Hmm.
think, but I'm not sure. I have seen one video from the Linus, the short, I mean, circuit. I, I, I'm not
Oh, yeah,
sure if I'm saying correct YouTube name,
yeah.
but I've seen the this video, like the for the high capacity switches. Like
I did
he
watch
was
that, yeah.
literally putting all those fan on the back, and it was power redundancy also, like the hot swappable power module also.
Yep. Yeah, so that's kind of cool to see that for their enterprise products, at least, they're selling these kind of parts you can replace it with. Oftentimes with Ubiquiti, you never see them really release parts that you can buy separately for their switches. So
Mm-hmm.
it's nice to see that as they get into more of the enterprise realm, that you can actually get replacement parts instead of having to send your switch in for repair, which you don't want to take your switch offline in an enterprise environment. So it kind of makes sense that you can just buy those
Yes.
parts as you need them. So I think that's pretty much all for the switches. Recently,
Yeah.
Ubiquiti has released a bunch of different accessories for them. I guess over the past couple of years, they have a bunch of rack mount keystone panels, OCD
Yeah.
panels, what they call them. They have their racks that they sell. There's a lot of accessories you can buy for
And
their switches.
they got the dust cover also, RJ45 dust
Yep.
cover.
Yeah, these are really cool. Saf1 has these in some of his switches, I think. And
Yeah, I
they look
have.
nice.
Yeah. Even if you get the Ubiquiti, I mean, new switches, like they put everything on the SFP modules with the Ubiquiti logo. Like if you
Yes,
don't
they do.
remove it, yeah.
I think I have some of them. Yeah, actually, that's not one.
Also, we take a look into one more thing, like with the switch, like the if you use or layer 3, layer 2 switches from the Ubiquiti, and I mean, if you're using full stack Ubiquiti, coming with the gateway switches and the access switches, and then the access point. So one thing you need to take a look into the priority of the switches priority. That is very helpful in your
Yep.
network when you are trying to troubleshoot any devices. Like if you're using any multicasting devices,
Yes.
uh, like the AirPlay, Sonos, Chromecast.
Mhm.
They have mostly issues in your network environment. So I let me show you my screen. Okay.
Yeah, the priority is really important on Ubiquiti switches. I guess
Yeah, I
switches in
mean,
general, but
let me take a look into my site. No, not yet.
I
Let
don't
me
see your
share.
screen. Nope.
Yeah, yeah. Just give me a second.
Okay.
Okay, now you can see.
Yep.
So here, the right now, if you see the topology here, first I'm using the UXG Pro, and then after that the aggregation switch is connected, and then I have the enterprise 8 PoE and the 24 PoE. So you take a look into the priority, the switch STP
Hmm.
priority, spanning tree protocol
Yep.
priority. So if you take a look into the aggregation switches, which is directly connected to the UXG Pro. So under that switch, if you go to the settings of that and take a look into the priority. By default, Ubiquiti set them into the highest priority of 32768 if by default. So that's the highest priority. So the the switch which is directly connected to the gateway, they should set on the zero priority, and any switch which is connected to these aggregation switches, you can go ahead with the one priority. Like after zero, you can just
Hmm.
go to the 4096, and after that, if any switch connected to that switch, it will go up to 8192.
Yeah.
So on this aggregation switch, I have the enterprise 8 PoE switch also connected. So you can see here. Yeah, I think this also connected on the 4096
Hmm.
STP priority. So the implementation is here. Like if you check the Ubiquiti guide, STP priority UniFi, they have one of the guide to mitigate the network loops.
Yeah. Yeah. So kind of like you
So you
said.
can see that
Yep.
you see, this guide comes in handy, like to understand the loops, how to mitigate the loops on the UniFi
Yeah.
switches.
Yeah, so kind of like you said, like as you set up your switches, you should start kind of at the core of your network, working your way down, if you think about it that way. So every switch that's connected to that previous switch should be a lower priority, or I guess higher priority in this case.
Yeah,
So the lowest priority is kind of like the highest up switch in your network in that sense. Like most, the core switch at your network should be zero, the root of STP. And then as
hmm,
you go down from there, they should get to a higher priority.
yeah. So this here it already mentioned, like in the form of devices disconnecting and degrading performance, you should assign to that, and the best practice to avoid network loops.
Hmm.
So the centralized switching sets STP to prioritize core switches. Also, one thing I would like to show on each of the UniFi switches, if you take a look into uh, the PoE switches under the port manager, if you take a look into any of the ports, they have also added this loop storm control, and the loop protection has been added.
Yep.
I'm also live on my channel, and I get some of the comments, like it says from the prototype labs, NiFi is missing a features for like root protection on the individual port, as it can cause root request to different root of data while
Hmm.
on redundancy network. I think that feature is missing on the UniFi side.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the individual port, it does not uh, provide redundancy on that individual port.
Interesting. I haven't thought about that
Yeah,
before.
I think this one, the loop protection, if you enable it, it will disable the port if any loop is detected, and it will manually re-enable if the loop is no longer available. So
Yeah.
we should use this in our network environment.
Yep. I would say it should always be on because you never know
Yeah,
when somebody plugs something into a port and they don't know. Especially like in like office environments, like staff person might just plug something in. They might not know what they're doing, and that might cause issues if loop protection is not on in the network.
yeah, that's correct. I've also tried to create a loops and see does it work on the Ubiquiti switches. So yeah, at first it was not, I mean, detecting the loop, but it just show the exclamation mark on that it
Yeah.
loop has been detected. But when I go to the inside and checking on the viewer, it does not show up there. But after some few updates, it got added that features. So here you can see the how to use STP. So right, it says you can enable the RSTP by UniFi switches enable RSTP by default. It can be toggle in the following. So you can toggle and enable or disable that. So these are the STP priorities you can set on the
Hmm.
UniFi switches.
Yeah, that's something a lot of people don't talk about, like on other people's YouTube channels, from what I've seen. I think it's really important that you do set
Yeah,
the
I think
priorities, though.
this. this you can see assign the root switch a priority of 0. So in this case, the root switch is the aggregation, which is directly connected to the gateway.
Yeah.
And the next layer switch you can assign up to 4096. And you can continue incrementing the value by 4096
Yep.
of each layer. So in that way, you can see the diagram here. The switch 0 priority, which is directly connected to all pro PoE switches, which is on 4096. And then any switch which is connected to 24 from the Pro 24 PoE is 8192 and 8192.
Mm-hmm.
So if you connect directly on these switches, you can't put 8192 priority.
Yep.
So yeah, that was the features we should take a look into that UniFi. Also, they have additional protections like the loop fee protection failure, which I have just take a look into that port manager on the each switch port.
Mm-hmm.
So it permanently blocks the port, as I was saying that it permanently blocks port upon loop detection. The port will not return to normal operation without intervention in the UniFi network. You must manually go into the UniFi network to fix it.
Yeah. Which I think is
Yeah.
a good thing in a lot of cases. Like you want somebody to be aware of the issue that happened. That way it doesn't happen again
Mhm.
before it gets re-enabled.
Yeah. So we should take into this guide also, like this is better to understand and your about the loops and STP everything.
Yeah. Well, I think that was about all the switches they had for now, at least.
Yeah,
I'm
I
sure they'll
think so.
release more soon, but I think we talked about most of them.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else you have?
If you want to have like share anything, I think I got one more comments on
Yeah.
my channel from the Prototype Labs, which is I know him. He's my friend.
Mm.
So Edge switch has better function of STP than UniFi. Still, most of the vendor has also setting root bridge priority and conditional forward and conditional discard. Okay. Yeah, I agree with him. Like as compared to the UniFi switch, the S switch has a better function for the
Yeah.
STP.
Yep. I feel like a lot of those edge switches too. It's easier to set those priorities like in the interface and stuff than it
Yeah.
is on UniFi Network sometimes, and it makes it more obvious to you when there's an issue. Um, but that's just my opinion. But
So yeah, do you have anything else to share on the UniFi switches part?
nothing I can think of right now. I think we covered pretty good ground today, and hopefully the viewers have a better understanding of the Ubiquity switches and all the options that they have. There's a lot of
Yeah.
options, but I think breaking it down in the way that we did, especially with that slideshow, that was really helpful. So that was a good
Yeah,
idea.
I think I will from the next like live I will make it better. I
Yeah,
mean for the because it was not aligned at the moment.
yeah.
So I will for the next live I'll make a better slide on that.
Hmm.
So we'll take a look into each access point and everything. So I think we have covered everything from regarding to the flex utility switches and it goes up to the enterprise
Yep.
switches.
Yeah. So what's our next topic then? What do you think?
I think we should take a look into the UniFi access point and take a glimpse into the something
Yeah.
like what do you say the UniFi product we should look
I don't
for
mind.
next?
We could do Unify Protect. Yeah.
Yeah, we could do, but do we have to be on the same live session like the UniFi access point or something else? I think we should cover UniFi access point separately.
Yeah, I
and
agree.
then
Right.
yeah,
Do you want to do UniFi Protect first? Maybe next week, and then we can go
I
from
think we
there.
should go with the UniFi access point,
Access
and
point.
then we
Okay.
should go with the yeah.
Okay.
So also got one more question.
Yeah.
I have one question for lags with STP and hybrid VLAN. Is it possible in the UniFi switches?
Um,
Lags with STP adds so
I
and
don't know,
hybrid VLAN.
cause I mean, I've used lags before. I still use them,
Mm-hmm.
and I think, I mean, I set the STP on the downstream switch, so I think you can.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think if we take a look into the switch itself, that will be better to understand that.
Hmm.
So let me. Are you sharing your screen on that UniFi switches?
I'm not. I don't have that pulled up anymore.
Okay, let me take a look into that UniFi switch. Okay, okay. So for example, for lakhs. So let me share your screen with you.
Yep.
Just give. Okay, you can see the
Yep.
screen here. So for example, I'm taking example of this 24 PoE switch, correct?
Yeah.
So if you want to lag the UniFi switches here, oh sorry, aggregation, I think.
Yeah. And I think you have to
We
select
should
just one
take,
port.
yeah, just
Yep.
one port. Yeah. If I'm selecting port 12, then it will go assigned to the port 13. Make sure to enable port aggregating on the downlink device first
Hmm.
before enabling it on these devices.
Yep.
So lacks with STP. I'm not sure about that. Have you tested that before?
I mean, like I said, I've used lags before while I'm using STP, so I think that's assuming I'm understanding his question correctly. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I would like to have a test on that
Okay.
because here we can create a aggregation. We can aggregate the port 12 and 13, and with STP and hybrid VLAN. I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, maybe next time on our live stream we can follow up on that if you test that and try it out.
Yeah. So I think I just did a lag on this. So only features I see here, like I have aggregated port 12 and 13. You can see, can you see the
Yeah.
screen?
Yep.
Let Okay. So yeah, just give me a second. Okay. So here port 12 and 13 is aggregated now.
Hmm.
So if you go down, uh, I just see the options of loop protection. If I enable that, that's only the thing I see here.
Hmm.
It will protect the ports with the loops. I would take a test and then you should check back next week.
Yeah. Yep.
Also next week we should take a look into the access point as well as this question which I got on my channel. Like I have one question for the lags with
Yeah.
STP. Yeah, I will take a look into that. Also, one thing I would like to show here, like yeah, I got this one AI port here.
Oh yeah, you did.
Yeah, and I'm right now using in I'm powered with the Enterprise 8 PoE switch.
Nice. Do you like it?
Yeah, I like it. I mean, it is working great. You can. manage and unmanage the devices. Right now, you can see here the screen. Right now,
Oh
I'm
yeah.
using on the G5 turret. If you manage it directly, it will be online and it says the AI icon here.
Hmm.
And you can use on the third party cameras also, like with the all third party cameras, it will get all AI features like the face detection, license plate, vehicle.
Yeah, that's cool that you can do that on third-party cameras as well. I like that they supported that feature.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think I'm making a video on that,
Yep.
so it will be out soon, like
Cool.
in 2 to 3 days.
Nice. Well, I'll look forward to that video.
Yeah,
So yeah, I think that's all I had for today. Um,
yeah,
it's about an hour, so I think that's about it.
yes.
Next week we will do the UniFi access points.
Yeah, next week we will do on the UniFi access point. We will finish about everything on the UniFi access point. Then we will go on the UniFi product lineup.
Yep. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Cool. Well, I'll see
So
you.
that's the wrap of
Yep.
our live session for this week. So we'll get back on the next week with the UniFi access point topic.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Safwan. See ya.
Right. Thanks, Cole. See you there. Bye.
Bye. All right. Well, that was it for this live stream today. Thank you guys for watching this live stream. Tune back in next week for the continuation of our series with Safwan. We will be talking about UniFi access points. There's a little more that we can cover there. Hopefully you found some value out of today's live stream with the switches. Like I said, that is all for today. So thank you guys for watching. Have a great rest of your Saturday. And I'll see you all next week in the next live stream.